We're gonna cruise.
Okay, so Zach's working the main computer and I'm gonna have this so he can have the last sheet.
By work meeting, that means I'm watching.
You're watching, yeah.
Should I motion?
Do we have captions and everything ready? Just about there? Oh, I'm out of order and stuff. Ooh.
Mhm.
Okay, closed captioning is on, we're recording, so we're good to go.
Okay, make a motion to open the meeting. Is there a second?
A second?
Trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Coe,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Ah,
motion passes.
okay, so we are having a budget workshop. We have a hard stop for everybody at 5 o'clock. Is there any conflict of interest or anything anybody wishes to disclose?
Aye.
No.
No, for me too. Okay. Do you want to just give the quick overview on?
We have nobody participating, but if you, somebody of those wants to speak, raise your hand, come to the front, give your name and address, and we'll.
Be nice to each other.
we'll
Got
get
that.
Yeah,
that.
That's your favorite last line.
Yeah.
It is your fast line.
Yeah. Okay, so bill pay.
Yes, this is the bill pay from the other night,
Yeah.
and I apologize to the board, but if I can have this authorized,
Yeah.
I can get paid.
What was the update of the clarification again?
What the-
Was there any update or clarification?
No.
No, it was just nothing.
No, it was nothing. It was me leaving, trying to get Alexandria set out a packet. And honestly, we messed it up.
Quick question, number 542. Wegmans board lunch. Is that our lunch? $12?
No.
Boy, I'm coming here
I
for
think-
lunch
No,
more
that would
often.
be miscellaneous.
Yeah.
So,
It just showed up.
I'm like, boy, I'm coming here for lunch more often.
Yeah,
That was
such a good
a
deal.
lot of
I know.
people for $12.
Yeah, those are 2015 prices.
That's
Um,
miscellaneous.
The sweeper and the rental for $2,600, what was that?
Sweeper and the rental.
Okay, Northeast sweepers and rentals, 2,659.
Repairs to this, the Rockville sweep. So maintenance repairs.
Okay. Pretty standard ongoing type thing.
Yes, every so many hours, it is due for a certain level of service.
Mhm.
And those services can be costly because there's so many different fluids and
Okay.
Yeah.
I make a motion.
parts on it, so.
My second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, we're cruising along. Multi-year financial and capital plan.
Okay, so jump in here after we spoke about this. Was it this week? Yeah, it was this week.
Yeah.
It was Tuesday night. The changes on the sheet reflect the discussions
input.
we had, the input we received. I received from trustee Marshall and Mayor Plummer. We smoothed some things out. And actually, there might be some minor things I might be playing with it before the
Mhm.
20th. I think I might have took in a truck and laying there, no,
Yeah, can I ask you a few questions real quick?
no.
Okay.
Okay,
This is
Here we
real
go.
quick.
it's a tough crowd and it's only a few people here.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go right down the list. The bathroom is in with the sewer and the general.
Which sheet are you on?
First one.
I'm just starting on the first
Yeah, no,
sheet. I just wanted to nail down what I understand for 24-25 to
three.
make sure. Because what I'm thinking is anything that's not in 24-25, we're pushing out to 25-26, and we
So
continue to work on the capital
Yeah.
plan to finalize it, to create a copy for the public and adopt it.
Correct.
But as far as this budget, anything that's in this budget for this year is gonna be in the 24-25 year, and everything else is not. So let's talk about, just write down the list. We got the toilets, laundry facility, we're assuming 250. Some of that's ARPA, some of it's, a good chunk of it is sewer.
Correct.
That's the primary reason for the showers and the
Yep.
actual build out.
And laundry.
And then we've got a general fund. Is that split fair? I guess fair enough for me right now. That's what's in the budget, as you said.
That's the way it is. Yeah.
Okay, South and Wood, that's the bond and or the grant. The bond payment is in the budget, but
Mhm.
because it's not technically cash out non-payment, that you don't list it there on the right side.
Mhm.
The case loader that is in the budget as lease, equipment lease, right? I
Yep.
saw that in there.
Yep, they're in there, they're in the debt,
Right, it's in the debt column, that's why it's not in the purple to the far right.
correct.
Truck 3, truck 14, I like truck 14 reserve, that's the 100 grand that we had talked about.
Yep.
Tell me more about truck 3.
And pickup, because I thought we were only doing 2 trucks.
I saw it.
Let's address the first one first, so.
Yeah,
you
so
want the
truck
little-
3 moved to 25, 26, 70,000, but then I see it in there. On the capital improvement plan for what you have here. I don't know if I saw it on the budget. Maybe this is,
Oh, yeah, I see what you did. You didn't pull the 70. You see where we are? The notation was to
Yep,
move,
no, I didn't pull some.
okay, so we're gonna pull
So
out
the
the
number
7.
will get better.
okay.
So that 70 goes to 25, 26?
526, yep.
Yeah, so the way to think about that, truck 3, at least for now, again, until finalization and adoption of the budget, that dollar amount is next year.
Okay. Can I just ask a quick question while we're on this subject?
Yes.
If there is going to be a lump sum, it is, not necessarily for one truck or the other, or it is going to be designated for one truck or the other?
We are going to defer to you
Yeah.
and your priorities.
So the specific vehicle really, is. I don't know how to say it, other than,
It's dictating the money.
yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter the specifics of the vehicle, it's just the money that is
Right.
designated for that vehicle in that.
You're
company.
essentially given a kitty to
Yep.
work with.
So whether that's that capital improvement plan or the schedule says truck 3 or truck 14 is irrelevant because it's the money that's gonna be set aside for.
To a degree, so here's the reason why I say to a degree. Remember the Rob Richardson Fund?
Yep.
If this 70,000
Yeah,
is the
I see where you're going.
F-150 Lightning, and it has specific to do with CEC, right? Then this speaks to the 100,000 of funds you have available. It says truck 14 reserve, right? But it's going into reserve. So when you get it out of reserve, you're gonna come to us and say, here's what I wanna do. If we've got an item that's a Lightning, that's specifically a green vehicle that we want to defer or wait on to get points to maximize value in grants, we may say no to that. So it's something that would have to be worked out because it's going to the reserve and then you're gonna come and say, I want to take it out. It's not just going to the general ledger that you just get the pull without the approval.
Okay, so just so there's no confusion, the F-150 is not to be confused with truck 3 or truck 14 because it's a brand new vehicle to the fleet.
Okay, so truck 3 and truck 4, these are replacements of existing. Okay.
No, yes, truck 3 and truck 14 are replacements of the
Replacements.
existing. The F-150 Lightning, that would be off of the green
Okay,
funds.
so I think in that case, like, it's pretty reasonable to assume the board in looking at reserve funding. You came and said, hey, we got a fleet of vehicles we need to maintain. This is what I think we should do now.
Yep.
And we look at the capital plan, okay, yeah, sure, it might be next year instead of this year, but based on appropriate action, you get it done,
Yep.
right? So,
All right, so this just satisfied my questions of how I'm going to phrase things in the capital improvement plan moving forward. So any changes that are made, obviously it's gonna be adapted
yeah,
as time goes on, but, I'm sorry, edited as time goes on.
yeah, I think, you know, if you do a
To be
capital
more
improvement
specific.
plan update once a year, during the course of the year, if you end up needing to approve something that you had a year for instead of the same year, unless the board's got something like particular issue wanting to dictate when you replace vehicles, why would we?
Yeah.
For clarification, the F-115 you were saying, is that the additional pickup?
Yeah, so this
Yeah,
isn't
that
an
would be an-
additional, truck 3 happens to already exist.
Right.
This is
Okay,
just-
so the additional pickup is the green truck.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, so then I'm rolling down, you got
This
this
is not in
additional
this.
pickup, it's not even there, right, it's crossed out,
Mhm.
zero balance.
Okay.
There's nothing. We've got deferred to, so this is vehicle replacement and reserve. This is number 6, 260,000, that's a band, and then sewer, nothing against the general, so that's in there. If you'll note, under the description, it does say deferred to 25, 26. We're actually doing it 24, 25. So that's got to get updated.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I was just checking something. My numbers aren't playing well. I'll have to resend these after I.
Okay.
But you're following along with what we're looking at.
Mhm. You see where he is?
Number 6,
Number 6,
Mhm.
truck one, deferred to
Was
25.
260,000.
Yeah, the description's wrong, but otherwise it's in the right column.
No, it's in, I'll fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was because,
And you're doing a lot of work in a short period of time.
A
I expect
ton.
this stuff.
yeah, no
Right.
worries.
All right, so we've got number 7 now, Bobcat skid steer and stuff. This is in fact in the budget as a single line item. Is that correct?
yeah,
Mhm.
I gotta look at these numbers, 'cause everything's balanced between this and my budget, so, you know, I'm wondering if I have the right CIP sheet.
I'm wondering too.
Yeah, because I took those out.
Right, and I'm just
Yeah,
gonna,
because it says deferred to.
I wonder if you
25,
printed an earlier one.
I
See, these
could-
aren't, is this one doesn't have a date on it, so we don't know when the last
Well,
revision was.
Well, the one on my computer says 313 for cost, so I'd like to think it was the one, and I just wanted to check. So,
where would that be under in the appropriations?
Which one, number 7, the Bobcats?
Yeah, I don't think it's in there. Right? Because there's a lot showing up in the right-hand side.
It says move to another budget year, that one.
Yeah, I just put move to another budget year, because I need the board to decide what budget year they want to hit.
Well, it says 25, 26.
Well, yeah, I mean, for now, push it out to next
Yeah,
year,
this-
So we
Probably
we
right.
take out that 65,000 here.
which might not even be in the budget right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back.
yeah.
I think what's happening is you're working on the budget, because that's the priority,
Well, I have
and then this is kind of being
Just trying to
second.
backfill it.
Yeah.
3 sheets matching.
I know.
It
Yep.
gets a little hinky,
Yep.
because, and I did think I had them all matching. I got the revenues matching.
But that 65 grand is getting pushed, and
Right.
I would push it probably to next year, and then we'll figure it out in the capital plan
Right.
after that. Because Zach, going back to the idea, get the big truck, okay, get another 100 grand for vehicles. How we spend it, 100 grand this year, 100 grand next, 100 grand the year after. If we have a capital plan in place that says we need 500 grand plus of vehicles, finance a big truck this year, finance a big truck next year, have 500 grand, you got $1 million. Spread it out over 5 years for everything other than the 2 dump trucks,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
maybe it's not perfect and you gotta spread it out or accelerate it.
No, that's good, because
It breaks
that's,
up the
that's putting
bottom.
us into a position where we're able to start following a replacement program.
Right.
So
Exactly.
once we get to that point, it's just maintenance and keeping up with that. So the bottleneck essentially is being thinned out, and things are gonna start flowing into the.
Right.
I mean, we have, the next couple of years are gonna be, we're really biting it off a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's the only way I think that
Get
we
on
can
task.
really correct
Mhm.
Sure.
and have a reset and
Yes.
get you back on track with your
Yes.
schedule. All of that. Also, the maintenance lines will start to go down, we'll start to see things shift.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's a short-term
We knew we were gonna
crunch.
do the hard work.
Try to, when you buy the vehicles too, recognize certain shelf lives, right? And if you have to buy something a little newer in order to get out to 4 years rather than 3, right? Then when you have the sequence of maintenance and new vehicles over time, it's not all lumpy again, right?
Mhm.
You don't want
Yeah.
everything that ends in 3 years. You might have to
You know
pay a little
yourself.
extra for a 4-year.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yep.
just try to
Mhm.
spread it out in
And-
purchasing too.
It's just an initial starting to that range, you know what I mean? So if it's 3 to 5 years,
Mhm.
we can make it so the overlap,
Yep,
you know,
good.
is a little more.
Yeah, because the schedule's typically staggered.
So then let me just, Dorothea, rattle up. The DPW security fence, that 10 grand is not in the budget.
No, the security, no, that is in the budget.
It's in the
That was a reserve item.
It is in the, it's a reserve item.
Yes, you had me put it into reserve.
I don't, yeah, it says reserve here in the descriptor.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
So then
that was-
that's gonna be under what?
That is in the budget under infrastructure.
Infrastructure, that's the 30 grand. Okay, great. It's
Yeah,
it was
infrastructure
10.
reserve.
It was
Perfect.
10 for the office area, and it was 10 for
Yep.
that.
Mhm.
So that's the reserve, good. I see that in the budget. Perfect. Quick comment on the budget. I'm jumping around here.
That's
But
okay.
you have 100,000 going into equipment vehicle repair reserve. It's actually equipment vehicle reserve. It's the replacement. Yeah. It's the replacement reserve, not the reserve.
Yep. no.
Good catch.
Okay. Mapping, that 20 grand is in there, that's good. Retaining
Yeah.
wall side project. Didn't we decide to not even have that in there? Because we're gonna do it.
Phasing it out, so starting off with tree removal, which is causing the problem,
Yeah.
which that tree removal could just be part of the budget rather than.
Is it in the budget now?
It is in the,
Yes, yes.
it's
Okay,
under
Yes.
tree maintenance, it's in general, it was under, it was 5,000, we decided 5,000 was the threshold to
okay.
just have in the budget. But it shows up in 25, 26 because it was,
The retaining wall.
it's a retaining wall itself,
Right.
but we pulled it to have further review done because.
As to who owns the wall. In other words, that was part of our discussion in the other meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we really need to sort that before we commit any capital.
Right. Okay, replace 3 standing pilot hanging furnaces. Is that in the budget?
Yes,
It is. Is that just a straight up budget line or how do you?
I accounted for it under the maintenance area. There's a $9,000 difference between the budget and the sheets, so I think I did remove those items. I gotta go back.
I think you removed those.
You removed
Yeah,
the
I think it's-
furnaces?
No, I didn't remove.
Didn't? No, they're in.
So I thought that was going into
I
our
thought they
green
stayed in.
plan.
Okay.
We were gonna try to get it in the green plan. We're not sure though. That's
Okay.
why it stayed.
Yeah, so are there opportunities? Anybody know
For the furnaces
If
at
the-
Yeah.
DPW?
if those furnaces can somehow be CEC eligible?
We're gonna
They
try.
will not be,
They're definitely, did he say?
definitely not,
Why?
because there's nothing about them that is considered high efficiency.
Right.
It's just a standing pilot furnace, hanging furnace.
So do we have an opportunity to get something that's high efficiency?
Well, it says replace with new high efficiency electronic ignition.
So
So what are we?
electronic ignition, not high efficiency.
So this is an incorrect
Yeah, I've already
description.
talked to Robert about that, and he said
Okay.
that's not an option for those.
So we don't have an option to get a green high.
Yeah, I got it
efficiency.
under the highway garage. It's under garage maintenance.
How long will those last that are there now? And how efficient are
They're
they?
from 1980 something, they're standing
Mhm.
pilot right now, so,
So you'd be going to electric.
yeah, electronic
Ignition.
ignition. Did I say standing, is it, what's in there?
It says
High
replace
efficiency.
3 standing pilot hanging furnaces with
with-
new electronic ignition.
Electronic.
I deleted high efficiency.
Could you run them until the thermocouple blows?
We replace the thermocouples all the time, so.
It's,
Yeah, so
it's,
that's all right.
you maintain,
Okay.
they're constantly maintaining.
And it's not like all 3 of them have to be replaced at
Right.
once. We've been living with them. Technically, only 2 of them function.
Okay.
Third one, the pilot light blows out all the time as soon as you open the door. So, if we have to only replace one.
Okay, can I ask for a favor? Just a thought.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind taking that 15 grand, adding it to the 30 grand and jam it in the infrastructure reserve. The DPW infrastructure reserve,
Why DPW?
right?
And then
Sure.
what?
Why
Because
DPW?
then it's there and then you know it's there. You can have confidence it's gonna be there. Whether or not it's used for that, you get to make a decision or have it go towards something different. So again, that way you're not pitching product, I need this now, that I need, like, maybe you want something a little bit before that. I know that's what this capital plan is doing, but by putting in the infrastructure, it gives you a little bit more latitude to recognize, is this our priority right now?
All right, so then anytime there is something that needs to be purchased, then come to the board and say, hey, I'd like to pull some.
Yes,
money from the
Let's,
reserve.
let me back up here. Let me just back up a little bit here. So way back in the early days of the budget process and the long-term capital plan process, it was what we want to see in this coming year is exactly what those priorities are, the needs.
Yeah, okay, all right,
Okay.
let's take that for face value.
So,
Let's move forward.
I'm taking that at face, but you're saying this is kind of where we are.
Okay.
And that's why they're numbered in the sequence of
Yep.
all the priorities.
Yep.
So I'm
Good.
just saying, let's take a pause here. Because now we're just circling back to reconfigure work that we think we already need.
So Zach, you're good with that. That's priority. We're good. You would read.
Yeah, as long as the funding's there. I'll replace it.
Yeah,
That's what you want to do.
you can want, they've been needed.
Yeah.
There's no way to do the CC. Yep, I,
Isn't
you
there
know, I
no way to
agree.
do the CC?
From all the information that I've gathered, no.
Okay,
Did they say, did you ask them about next year? Is there something coming down the pipe?
As for like some sort of technical.
Why don't you explain really what the circumstances are with furnaces and opening of garage
Yeah,
doors?
so these are sitting in open bays constantly where, you know, the bay doors are being opened and they're exposed to whatever's going on outside. So I don't think that it's not like, you know, a closed envelope that this building would be, you know?
Mhm.
So green type of hanging furnaces for that type of environment, I don't think there is
That's
such a
what's gonna
thing.
happen. Okay, all right.
Or, you know, just,
The one thing that I was interested in, and would like to speak with Rob about is, the ventilation issues in the building and whether or not there is something that could be green and sustainable for ventilation.
I know they have solar powered vents that you can.
I know, and if we were to get the points to do solar over there, then it would just take,
Yeah.
it would be no, you know, it would offset everything.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that maybe we
Yeah.
can look at.
But
Because
for
there's an
now.
issue with the exhausting.
Yeah.
You know,
So for now, the electronic ignition furnaces, they're a massive upgrade to the existing furnaces.
yeah,
But they do not qualify for climate smart points.
Okay,
okay. But they're needed, they need to keep warm.
Yes.
something else does though, which is the furnaces and the air conditioning. units. And the way that we are currently, so right now, on the next page, we've got the grant dorm paying for those. I don't think, because that's not a budget item, that's a grant. dorm
It's a grant.
item. I'm okay. Wait. Discussion. This gets us to front porch balconets, wrought iron restoration. That is repair, not new equipment, and therefore it's not eligible for the grant
Right.
dorm, just so I am clear.
Yeah,
That needs to get done, that's in the budget. Okay.
So it shouldn't be under grant dorm?
Should
It-
not.
it isn't.
It's where it should be.
Oh,
It's
under
where it should
trust,
be.
got it, got it.
So this is where it should be.
Mhm.
The green stuff, I want to come back to a discussion, but anyway, that's fine.
we can.
Let's hammer out the rest of it. Meeting room upgrade, that's not in the budget, correct?
Well,
The
it's
meeting room
ARPA.
upgrade, it is
Oh,
in the
that's-
budget,
okay.
it's in
Yeah.
the budget, under ARPA for,
Yeah,
and what I kind of did. Cause looking at the ARPA funding, what's left, I talked to the mayor, I can see where we can shift 10,000 from ARPA to cover the balconets. As well as 10,000, the latest estimate we had for the room is around 10,000 for the room upgrade, so that would knock those two, leaving like
Oh, you
4,500.
mean the wrought iron restoration?
Yeah, the raw iron for the.
Which, for the railings, which is a safety
Yes,
issue, so
yeah.
we could split out what was already
For the-
totally designated for this room.
Yeah,
right.
And still, you know, it's a win-win, really.
Okay,
In the entire year that I've been on the board, we've never hammered out with votes what the grant dorm authority is gonna go to, nor what ARPA is gonna go to. It might have occurred prior, but in my time on the board, that's never been we have this money,
Uh-huh.
here's how we're gonna spend it.
Right,
So to the extent that this is ARPA, it's not the budget as much as that it's embedded in there, but if we don't do it through ARPA, we probably need to do it, and then it's general. So at least for now, I'd say leave it alone in ARPA, but I just
Mhm.
wanted to put judgment.
I just want to put out there, this is really the last year we need to get these ARPA
We have to
projects
spend
done,
ARPA.
or we're gonna lose the money.
we have to spend it.
So we've got to spend it, so that's why I'm, you
Yeah.
know, there's like another 28,000 out there once we get the
Mhm.
money, the estimate back on the invasives and. if
Yeah, that's right, that's
If
right.
the board wants to do it
right,
that way.
right.
So I really want to try to use ARPA,
Mhm.
so if it's a way to use it, offset something in the budget, we're gaining at the end of the day in our fund balance, is the way I'm looking at it.
Can we operate without upgraded sound and video in this hall for another year?
Oh,
It's just a
boy.
question- It's just a broad question. There's no opinion on this.
Well, I have a strong opinion, I know you do, and the staff and residents who say, we always hear this paper, and we can't. do
It's-
anything."
It's frustrating, let's
It's
just. be honest,
hamsters and
we're
duct tape.
MacGyvering it in here, and it's a setup nightmare. I think it'll be much smoother, I think all our presentations, I think everything that happens in this room would be so much better for the public. We won't be trying to set up a projector and
Mhm.
put the screen up, it'll just be nicer. And I think it
Yeah.
actually is more open, because then they can see it.
Well, the other thing, I'll give you an example, when Rob Richardson presented, and he went through the slides printed out,
Mhm.
he just assumed we had, like, you know, we could have had it, everything all, we could just set it up. We couldn't, we didn't have, where's the screen? Oh, the screen's in another room, it was a whole thing. This way, if we just have the facilities here, and then the public could have seen the slides too. So it's that kind of stuff,
So you're
it's more
basically
accessible.
talking about like a drop-down screen.
No,
No.
it's actually, the vision is. a
It's
TV
over there, right?
TV screen here that can
Smart
come out
screen.
on a tilt
Right,
when needed, otherwise it's against the wall.
so it'll look
Um,
like a picture,
Drop sound, so improved
Mhm.
sound,
omnidirectional up there.
yep, so we wouldn't have to deal with anything on the table to control that. A better video, so the public can,
Mhm.
everything.
So,
can be seen.
and that's option. Okay, but again, the amount of people that chime in on live with us is minute. And they can still come back after the fact and read the minutes and look at the video. I'm just saying right now, yes, I agree, it'd be great, it's optimal, but do we need it this year when we have so much other stuff going on?
Well, considering it was started out at 24,000 to upgrade the room, 20 something.
Yeah, it started at 20.
But we did do some upgrades.
No,
We had to go through, we had to rewire the whole building.
that, whether we did the room or not, we had to rewire, we had
So
to.
that was paid for, the rugging in the office portion of that was, and we're getting a little extra back in ARPA. The rugs in the village hall were supposed to be all ARPA. So.
But we had the
fire,
fire, so.
Which helped pay for over half of the rugs, so.
That's why we have
assisted.
a plus on our.
So, we're trying to do these
where
projects
we're
as
going?
cheap as we can.
Well,
I mean,
I'm just saying, I would like to see it move next year. That's my thought on
But
this.
if it's gonna be paid for by ARPA, it's gotta stay in.
Okay, if it's gonna be
It's
paid
gotta
for
be
by
paid for by
ARPA,
ARPA.
unless we can use ARPA money somewhere else that we need it.
Can I ask you a question?
sure,
Can you, in this capital improvement plan, put, just like you did with the grant norm, have the ARPA group together of the things that you think, this could be administration, it could be things that have been previously voted on. Could you just put, here's how much how much
A
ARPA money?
separate ARPA.
Yeah, so we know where it's
Right.
going. That would be great.
Right, and just like you have with the grant norm.
We actually
So, like-
have one set up somewhere
That'd
from
be great.
another presentation, I think, Dorothea.
right?
yeah, I can't.
It could be 4, it could be 5.
We probably have something on our end,
I
right?
don't think it has to happen before the budget. Please don't do it before the budget, but I think it would be very helpful
Mhm.
For us to see.
to have those
For
things,
tracking.
to track it.
Yeah.
And then sort of like the Rob Richardson one.
Mhm.
Because like you said, we weren't here on the board when the ARPA funds may have been designated to certain things. It's just nice to see where they went. or
I just
where they
keep,
came from.
I keep seeing various allocations of
Mhm.
things and this and that, and I'm like, I don't know, I've never voted on this, and I know we have money and I know we have to spend it. And I think, like, in my mind, the number one thing is get rid of invasives, right? And then after that,
And for what?
invasives.
Your number one,
Get rid of.
As far as the ARPA money, like, I want to make sure that we pay to get rid of invasives.
well, the board voted to use some of the funds to remove invasives in the arboretum and throughout the whole village.
Yep, so
Uh,
we're looking forward to the quote coming back, right?
Yeah.
I think
Well-
that's where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
We're waiting for prison to give me back
Mhm.
the
The feedback.
RFP. And then,
so that's a later thing. It's not a now thing, and by having a couple things grouped together for ARPA, it lets us have that conversation. But otherwise, I think everything is in there that we think is in there, right?
yeah, there's a little cleanup I need to do. I'll have fresh sheets go out. I'm gonna say Monday, everybody take a look, let me know immediately if you see something, or,
But
Yeah.
2004-5 was more important than.
yeah, I need to.
Yeah,
Hammer it
just
out.
to really nail it.
Right.
Yeah, there's a
Tell you.
9,000 deficit.
So
and
are we not talking about these 5 days?
something's-
We're not gonna talk.
I was
about
going to.
those? Oh,
I think we have to go into the budget now.
okay.
You guys agree?
I do.
Well, we do have to, I have. to-
Yeah.
And the reason I say this is, this capital improvement plan, while it's all integral, we made a conscious decision, I think, so far amongst us, that what's in 24 might have to happen in 24, 25. Everything else that we want, well, it'd be nice, it's not gonna happen in 24, 25, and it gets pushed to 25, 26, and then if it has to get pushed further, we'll just talk more about that in another meeting.
And it's a dynamic document. I mean, we've got it, now we're seeing how it's moving,
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, it's like
frankly.
shuffling some stuff down.
Some of
the road.
it, some of it,
Right.
yeah.
What's deferred, we can sort out after this month.
Right.
Right, because now we know from this plan what we decided to punt. And we know from this plan, what's in the budget. But here's the most important thing about having everything in the plan. We also, from Dorothea's work on the capital projections, can see what the pushing does to taxes
Right.
and what the debt does
Mhm.
to taxes and appropriations, right? So it's this idea of not throwing it into two massive years and spending it all at once, but rather bond or band what we can, and then put into reserves over time what we need, recognizing that there's gonna have to be some decisions made as to what you do now and what you do later. And then asking the question, what does that do to taxes,
Yeah.
right? Hopefully, this is the big hope, and we talked about this at
Yeah.
the beginning, we talked about it before. Hopefully, some things like assessments and catching up to fair market value will address some of that, so that aside from this year, maybe we don't need another tax revenue raise. And then to your point, once you get on everything up to date,
Mhm.
and you get rid of the bottleneck, we can actually bring it back down a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's the smoothing out part.
Right.
What we're really doing and what we have to convey to our residents is that it's gonna be tough for the next couple of years here, you know, just in terms of these corrections with the bottleneck, because things have been deferred. And I think, you know, that's the reality really of where we are, but it's solvable, you know, it's
Some of it,
solvable.
some of it won't go away, like when we take
Yeah.
out debt for the roads, that's 15 years of debt.
Yes.
Right, that extra cost isn't going away. The big trucks, if we buy two big trucks for $500,000. Those are lasting how long?
10 years.
And the debt's
10 years to
lasting
get the best
10 years.
resale,
Yes.
10 years to get the best
It's-
resale.
To be
Potentially.
more specific, 8 to 10 year replacement schedule for the best resale value.
So what that tells me too is the debt we take on for the trucks could be a perpetuity debt, right? Because as soon as it ends, you get another truck. So unless we're catching up
Mhm.
by keeping the reserve funding there, after you've gotten what we need, don't look at the reserve funding and think, okay, I gotta spend that. No, it's in the reserves. It's there then in advance. So one of the challenges is now that we have revenue up and appropriations have come up with it, the question is, can we, and this is what I want to do, you know, now is say, is there anything in the appropriations that we can do without? So that we don't have to go up as much. Right?
So what page do you wanna look at?
No, I guess I'll just start with,
One.
with the sewer command. So I guess I'll just look at appropriations. So this is general fund appropriations, page 115. Yeah, you guys just, let's let you on that page. So there's a little bit of me that's still disappointed in 22% to sewer, but I understand that I can never offer you a better
I
solution.
know, but you're learning to live with it. You're learning to live with the disappointments.
I see how
That's
that.
so adult.
Yeah, so adult to me. So let's just start with the appropriations for general. Running through this real quick. There was some things that I had here that I'm gonna ask.
We also see.
Well, just broad question, how much is general going down by?
General going, with the sewer,
No,
Really?
for, the general, not the sewer general, not the general fund balance.
the fund balance,
Yeah.
right now, I gotta look at it because I had projected 64,000, but with this recent sheet, I'm
Mhm.
seeing 27,000, that doesn't seem right to me.
Okay, so you're gonna
So
work it.
I think it's around the 64, I'm gonna go back, something,
Double check it.
something hinky with my sheets, and
Okay,
it's probably me.
okay.
But we're attacking it a little bit. And I just wanted to,
Yeah. to be playing-
Well, that's not a big hit for general.
no, it's actually quite good.
Yeah.
And this is a comment to the public. Our surplus from 19 through 23 was $300,000+.
Mhm.
That's why we're spending this, because we've been running a surplus and it's okay to use it on things like vehicles and roads, right?
We're reinvesting in our community.
It's turning around and saying, we put a plan together, it's okay to spend this money. We didn't want to spend it before because we didn't necessarily have a plan together.
Well, and also there was COVID, you know,
Yeah,
a
no,
few things happened.
Sure, yep. Yeah, nobody likes to see sales tax revenue go from, what was it, like 640 to 550, or maybe 740 to 650. Anyway, okay. Page 1 of 15 of appropriations.
So let me understand this. So we're giving the village board a 1% raise? Is that correct?
It's a percent decrease, increase, it's an overall understand the numbers I punch in, I don't go to the exact dollar amount. I round up.
Okay, but the percentage is correct.
The percentage is
Okay.
correct, but you're getting 3.5, it's spread between that and sewer.
Okay, and then the treasurer is getting 9. almost
No,
10.
no one's getting 9. That's reflecting current salaries. They have a different person in that position, different rate. So I go by the salaries. That's not necessarily everybody's getting a 9%. I wouldn't take that.
Okay.
Things like newsletters, which is in blue, you notice new, but there's no cost. Are you gonna eventually delete that line so we don't even see it?
I can't delete it.
Okay, that's fine.
It's just the way the budget program, everything works. It shows up because it was there. We had an amount in there and we zeroed it out. So that's the change.
John,
And just again, for the public, these are the things that we're making decisions on to spend money on other things, and that's, I recognize there's some difficulty in that.
So let's look at the law section.
Yeah,
So the
right.
43%, and the 92%.
The lawsuits out of our control.
yeah, you can see it under litigation.
Yep,
Yep, that's the number I was received.
Mhm.
But actually, sorry, go ahead.
It's just an estimate. We'd rather have a little more in there in case something pops up.
so can we just clarify, just for the record and for me and for the public, the 43% is what lawsuit?
It's no loss.
It's just expense,
It's the 5,000.
okay, got it, got it, got it. Ah,
What
got
we
it,
actually spent.
got it, all right,
So this is what we're spending now.
yes,
This is what we plan to spend.
yes, okay, got it,
Next year, it's half of what we've spent. We plan to spend.
got it,
Yeah.
Hopefully, we spend none of it.
okay, okay, so we're just protecting us.
It's just a
Okay.
protect.
It's just,
protection.
we just have
Okay,
to
got
have
it.
it, it's like a,
Yeah,
just in
it's a
case.
fallback, yeah,
Yeah.
all right,
Okay. Elections was fine, everything was fine, contractual records management. The big increase in contractual records management. Is that us finally getting to the point of digitizing things, so it's costing us more?
Well, no, there's an ongoing digitizing things that we
Okay.
do, and the bigger thing is there's shelving.
It's upgrading storage,
Upgrading.
that's
storage.
fireproof.
Again, this is putting more of the metal shelving. in
Yeah.
And getting rid of filing cabinets,
having a
because you
fire.
can gain more space that way, and it's a better way of storing the records.
That's new equipment. Is it able to be spent through the dorm authority?
No,
No,
No, and nor ARPA.
no, well, yeah, our,
oh, ARPA, we could.
yeah, ARPA at any point, yes.
Here's the reason why I'm looking at 3,500. That's a third of a percent tax increase.
Mhm.
No, it's 3,000 for the shelving.
Okay,
not 35,
$3,000, every 10 grand is 1% tax increase, so every $3,000 we cut is a
For
third
whittling, I hear you.
whittling.
Yeah.
And, we come to the public and say, hey, what do we have right now, 10%? What's the tax increase right now that we have in the budget?
9,
9. It would be nice to see that lower,
I think so too.
Yeah,
and if
I
we
agree.
can
we could whittle.
whittle,
Mhm.
like, why not try?
So
I
we
can
have,
throw it in
okay,
there.
so hang on, you guys, so let's go back to the ARPA, you see where you're going with this, so. We still have, residual ARPA that is not designated, that has not been used per se.
Correct.
Okay,
So we could cough
ARPA.
up for 3,500, you know what I mean?
And
And
if it's,
I just want to some of these decisions we can punt into the ARPA conversation. And if we
Yeah.
don't end up financing with ARPA, we can come back and say, you know what, let's just authorize a budget transfer
Just make it happen.
Right.
and make it happen.
Make it
right,
happen.
doesn't work in our
Or
favor.
spend it out in general.
So then I'm gonna put down ARPA question mark or general, just
Mhm.
where are we?
But
Okay,
for this budget, what we bring to the tentative budget, I would say kick that out, the $3,000 of
Mhm.
shelving, put it in ARPA and have it be part of that capital plan
Mhm.
ARPA section.
yeah,
to be honest, the 3,000 could come out in this year's budget if the board agrees to use ARPA for it.
oh, okay, oh, that way we could get it done.
Yeah.
Oh, I say do it.
But.
Oh, poor
I
Dave.
mean, because
Poor
it's.
Dave, he's sitting there going,
We're
I
like,
just
spend
had a
it, we're
plan.
spending.
No, but we have the funding.
Well, here's what, I just want to have an ARPA conversation with
wants
like,
the ARPA
here's our money,
conversation.
here's where I want to spend it, rather
Yeah.
than say it's there, let's spend it. I want to say,
What I'm saying is, I agree with you, I can take it completely out,
I
the
know.
board can make a decision to go ahead with the shelving.
We're so excited.
I know, it's kind of like.
I just want to see everything lined up.
Okay, we'll do the ARPA sheet.
Thank you.
I'll do
Okay.
that.
ARPA sheet.
Dave's gonna
But
put-
We're gonna
yeah,
put the shelf
we
on the
have
ARPA
to spend
sheet.
Okay,
Okay,
shelving in there.
so-
ARPA sheet with
Right.
shelving.
As you see, everything else looks pretty good. Miscellaneous services, we spent 729, but we got $5,000 in there. What is that?
It's for anything that pops up that is a miscellaneous service. You know it when you see it.
So this
Where are we
is
looking?
Right here.
building.
Oh, I'm on the wrong one.
Miscellaneous
Do a
service.
fast-
Oh, yeah.
It could be, I can tell you right now, what is a miscellaneous service, I have to have the exterminator come out for ants in the hall. So
Okay,
that's a miscellaneous service, I never know, it could be, electric repair, it could be anything, it could be
Sure.
a plumber.
I say kick it out. Here's why. Right now, within the buildings line, the 1620, you have the authority as the treasurer to move money around without a bunch of transfer, right? You can just do it. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, so we are estimating other things high, I think, relative to some of our spending. And let's just let those miscellaneous things happen within that existing, and if.
So you can move it within the lines?
Mhm.
Move it within the lines, and if we exceed what we have there, we can come back and revisit. This is why we have a general fund balance. This is why we
Because it's
have.
not a lot, I see where you're going
Yeah.
to. In other
If
words,
it's getting-
even if it does come out of general, it's not a huge hit.
Right.
Not a
We're
huge
not taking a
hit.
big
Right,
hit.
it's gonna knock down the.
It's another,
Another.
What do you think about that,
Right.
Dorothea? That we have the option to go to general or within
I
the
can go
lines?
within buildings with
Mhm.
the telephone, the heating, fuel, if you get new furnaces, we wouldn't have to worry about heating, fuel.
Yeah, that's true. That goes out. Oh, thank God.
Okay.
right, so that's
that's-
potentially even more.
Yeah.
That would be. I would just say
That goes
kick that
back
out,
in.
Get out.
right? Kick it out.
Okay, so now we've taken out 8,000. I see
Yeah.
where you're going.
Good, see, the whittling is working.
Village Hall Fire, I got that. Village Hall ARPA improvements. You got the 20 grand in there. What is that one again? Is that the
That's
wrought
the
iron?
20,000 is the 10 for the room and 10 for the wrought iron.
10 for the room.
Yes, 10 for the
10
room.
for the meeting room upgrades that we just talked about.
Yeah, how
It's
much?
showing up here
Yep.
under the, because it's under
Okay,
our
but we're
buildings line.
holding that, right? We're gonna look to see.
Well,
How much
hang
do
on.
we have in ARPA total?
Oh, you
I
should-
checked the other night, I think there's like 98,000 left.
We have 98,000. We lose it if we don't spend it this year?
Mhm.
You got it.
All right,
Yep.
do we have in our revenue sheets, the ARPA 98,000? Or do you
No.
just?
You don't realize it
No,
was
because
revenue.
it's, when it came in, it goes into a retention. It's like unspendable.
It's almost like an escrow.
Yeah, okay, here's what I'm gonna suggest. Take the Village Hall ARPA improvements off of the buildings. Can you create a separate line that is just ARPA spending, 98,000?
No,
You can't, you have
No,
to assign it like that.
because it falls under the village hall, and when I have to put it in, it's the way,
Okay.
it's the lines, it's the way it is. It's when we did like Rain Creek, that's a drainage project. So like buildings for the DPW, the
Yep.
ARPA goes in there.
Okay. But
But
this
we'll
is,
just do the
this,
separate ARPA sheet anyway, because we do, you're right, we can just take a look at the big picture
Right.
and track it.
but here's what I'm getting at. If this 20 grand for ARPA is in here, why isn't the other 78? Because we know we need to spend it this year.
Because it hasn't all been,
Cause we haven't made
Yeah,
determinations
it hasn't all
on
been determined.
where, cause we're waiting on the thing. I can put the other 28 in under.
Something, so I guess what I'm saying is we have an inequity. In one case, we've identified what it's for, so we put it in the budget. But in the other case, we know we have to spend it to get it, so we will. We have to make those decisions.
we have a funding source right now with no allocation.
Right, so what I would do is put the 98,000 or the
Pick a
other,
line,
put a line somewhere.
that's where you're going with it.
You
You
got
gotta
it.
pick a line to show it, and then we'll allocate.
Right.
Right, and what the budget
Yeah.
is gonna say is, here's what I would do. Don't let that ARPA cost, even this 20 grand, don't let that ARPA cost hit the tax rate. Have a line in there, or somehow just remember, that's getting spent out of the general, but we're gonna get it back.
No, well,
Does that make sense?
No,
No, okay.
we have the money. I have the money.
We don't have to pay up front.
I just.
This
have
was
to
a
move
direct,
it. It's like, it's like an interfund
expenditure.
transfer.
Oh,
transfer, yeah.
do you have the interfund transfer?
I have it already in there for the 70,000. I can put the 98, I can put in the budget, if the board agrees, I can put in the 15,000 that was anticipated for invasive removals under
Mhm.
the arboretum area.
Mhm.
And I just need to know where you want me to move the other.
That's why we have to pick a line for the other, in other words. And that goes
If you're
back to,
saying 3,000 for the shelving, okay, I can maneuver it in that, the board wanted to see specifically in the past where ARPA was spent. So
Right.
that's why it fell into the
Sure.
lines where it was spent.
Okay, here's what I'd say. Either we kick it out or we put it all in. It might be easier to kick it out.
That's gonna hurt the budget
It'll help.
because
Should be neutral.
Can I,
You know,
may I? I'm not
On the
sure.
intellectual level, I agree with that. It's like, why would that matter? It's a wash either way.
Yeah.
But
But-
you're looking at how it's accounted for in the
Right.
budget.
it'll bring us.
correct,
Huh?
because
Will
like the building
will-
projects with the DPW, I'm showing the expense and the improvement, so I'd have to take out the expense. If it's an expenditure and it's a revenue, it's a cross.
That's correct.
So I would have to remove the expense, the planned use of ARPA out of the DPW, plus it out of the revenue, so it would wash.
I think it's easier to do that today with the three of us, rather than define which line gets all of the
We
rest
wouldn't
of
be
the
able to do
ARPA
it. It's
money.
too, yeah.
It's too many discussions. We
Okay.
don't even have
Right.
So
to.
take all the ARPA
Take
funding
Remove
out.
ARPA.
Okay, but leave the ARPA funding in the multi-year capital plan?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's
Yes.
a funding source that we know we need to look
And I
at.
would even say have all of the ARPA spending in the 2024-25 part, because we have to get it done.
Right.
Okay,
Mhm.
So what if more of that ARPA money was used towards the building of the DPW? And then whatever, would have been coming out of the general fund would be going towards this other stuff.
Well, so some of this stuff is going to reserves, like the 30 grand or so, right? You've got the 50 grand for the HVAC, which it's sure, we could decide to spend that out of ARPA, but right now we're saying it's coming out of general,
Just not.
right? So yes, it's a great idea to potentially say, let's kick the HVAC units and DPW out of the general, take 15 grand of expenses out and assign it to ARPA. But for now, I say keep it in the general. Let's have an ARPA discussion. If in the end we decide to use some of the ARPA to,
Then it goes.
then we're pulling it out of general, we're gonna have surplus.
no, I was trying to put it in because then it's cleaner with the budget. When you amend
Sure.
with ARPA, it gets a little messy.
Okay, but going forward,
I can pull.
okay,
Yeah, just
okay.
pull it all.
We'll do the
and then-
separate
I'm just
article.
pulling the expenses.
Yep. Okay.
Because honestly, we've had how many times disagreement on the board about where ARPA is going or not, and not, let's just sit down and hammer it out
Okay.
and spend it, because we have to.
All right, so all the ARPA projects.
Yep.
All right,
So we have the grant writer in here?
no,
No, it's not in here.
no, special items, that looks good. Could you just remind me what shared SVC town school and?
The shared services with the
Services.
town, that's,
Yeah,
there's,
this.
well, it's more than that. There's some for labor. If our guys go and help the town, because the town's going to help us, we just put it in there.
Okay.
There's also, let me just make
And
sure.
these are part of intermunicipal agreements that we have that are ongoing.
I
Yeah.
This
think
goes to the next one, which is public safety.
there are shared services. I think that also is the crossing guard.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It
that's
is.
great.
It's the crossing
Love-
guard.
Love the crossing guard. Tell me about then skipping ahead to public safety. We're spending, call it 19,000, but probably 17,500 of that is salary, right? For somebody to help us to make sure that people aren't parking where they shouldn't be parking.
Yep.
If you look at the revenue line, I think we're only making about 4 grand in revenue. So the question is making sure people park where they should worth
It's
$12,000?
more than that.
Okay, tell me more.
It's public safety.
We're doing public safety.
He's out there every day.
Yep.
He's
Oh,
watching,
yeah.
making sure the parking is where it is. It goes beyond that. It just does.
Yeah, he also does overnight parking in the winter time too for us being able
Yeah,
to. plow
oh
the
yeah,
streets.
we didn't really have to worry that much this year.
This year.
But
But
that's
Oh,
what it
it's
says.
stuck
Yeah.
on.
It's an issue.
So it's pretty much critical. That what percentage of this is his, well, do you know what percentage is total cost to the entire town? Because I know it's a shared
The
resource.
town pays, we cover 20 hours for Mikey. Town pays 10 hours.
Okay, so
They pay on
Share.
they pay their own share.
Do we get 66% of his time?
We get a lot more.
Oh, yeah, more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, he
Also,
works 30 hours a week.
yeah, also, he's another set of eyes and ears on the ground in the village. And so he can alert us at Village Hall if there's an issue.
Yeah, we're in constant communication.
Yeah,
He's
it's
reporting stuff
really
to us.
part of the
to
whole team,
Steve.
is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
okay.
He's really an asset.
And
Yeah.
I'd also say the 4,000 isn't fair representation, the way the
Well,
monies for the parking tickets.
that's
have
been
been
an issue.
happened.
Mhm.
it was messed up and we fixed it. So now everybody pays their tickets to the courts take care of handling it with the state, and then it comes back. We used to collect, they have to send it to the town sends it to the state, then later on we get a check.
And we weren't getting all the funds, nor was there accountability, so, we redid the system, working with the court this past year.
Mhm.
And we're now reclaiming money that we
We're now
didn't
getting
even
the
know was
money
out
back
there,
that should.
because the system was so broken.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah,
all right,
but it goes beyond.
okay, thank you.
and actually, and what was great is, our traffic monitor helped to redesign that system, because he's eyes and ears on the ground and he
And
knew
then
it.
we asked him about working for the eclipses, right on board.
Yeah.
Great. I'm down to street maintenance. There's a lot of stuff there, 430. Remind us again, the 300,000 in roads personnel, that's just getting spread throughout the.
Right, me and
Mhm.
Zach need to sit down and do the percentage break to each of the areas that show a zero.
Yep.
It's just a holding spot
For now.
instead of playing with each individual line item.
Okay, as far as supplies and rentals, we've greatly underspent. Can we chip that down by $5,000 maybe and just put it at 5,000 and 5,000 or 6 and 4?
Well, we're not all,
Well,
we're not all the way
I'm
through
gonna
the year.
disagree, we're at 4,000 on rentals at
All right, so
December.
maybe do the inverse, do like 3 and 7 instead of.
And I think supplies is just a matter, of they haven't bought stuff going into the new year, but I will.
Can you save a little bit of money there
Yeah.
next year, Zach?
Take it down to that.
I mean, there's just neglecting work that has to be done. I have plans for bringing in tons of, catch basin components. We just picked up a bunch of, risers for manholes. So
So that's your supply line, that's where you're getting it, you just haven't spent it
I'm
yet?
assuming that's where it's all.
See,
coming out.
because you're
Is that
looking,
drainage?
I just want to call,
Yeah.
hang on, I just,
Well,
hang on, point of order. I just want to bring something to everybody's attention. The numbers you're looking at is what's been expended only through December.
Yep.
We're not even through this year. Now Zach's crew's going into spring, the weather's warming up. You're gonna start to see these numbers change, because now they can get back out and do the
when
work.
we have been running equipment, we have been bringing in more material.
Okay.
So it is, just like with the lack of plowing or overnight, on-call stuff that we've done because the late winter, we've been making up for that by doing stuff that we normally wouldn't at this time of year.
And it's hard to see too, because we don't have years from 21, 22, 20, 20,
Because
21.
it's a brand
Because
new
it's
line.
brand
These
new
are
lines, so it's hard
We're gonna
to,
be doing the
yeah.
lines.
okay.
Yeah,
And that was a whole other thing, when Dorothea came on as treasurer. You really went through and really redid the lines to expand it, so you could really
Mhm,
see more definitively what was
What's
going
going
on.
right.
Yeah.
Chips, it is what it is, right?
Yeah,
yeah, we're not using it this year, there's no planned use, we're hoping in the upcoming year to use it as one of the road projects.
since we can roll chips forward, we don't lose the funding.
Tell me, highway garage maintenance, 73,500. What is that again?
That's, okay, that's the bathroom and the furnaces.
Okay, so the bathroom's gotta stay in,
No, if you're taking the ARPA out,
yeah,
I'm gonna remove that and the furnaces will just go
so the general fund portion
in, is in here.
is ARPA funding. You were previously, you were determining that the money being spent at 73.5 was ARPA money?
Some of it.
Okay, how much revenue did you have coming in from, or transfer did you have coming in from ARPA?
I have 50,000 coming from ARPA. Let me go back.
All right,
The total coming out of general was 62.5.
okay,
So I would.
either way, it's money you gotta spend. So what I'm thinking is, let's say 100% of what's left in ARPA went for the bathroom. And you still wanna do the evasive, you just spend it out of the general.
Mhm,
Meaning, if we pull out the ARPA money here,
mhm.
right? If we decide to come back to the budget to spend it on something else, we could. Yeah, okay, just pull it, right? Just pull it and have it be part of the ARPA discussion.
So, yeah.
Alright,
So-
Well, I think to be consistent,
50,000.
just as a starting point, I see where you're going with that, but I think just as a starting point, we either keep it like this is, or we
Right, I think.
pull it out, and I think it's probably a little more transparent to pull it out.
I
So
agree.
we recognize it as its own separate
Yes.
account.
Right.
So
basically
that
like
line will
low income.
become 23.5.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, right. And it's not saying we won't do it, it's not saying that we don't have funding for it, but what it tells us, and it tells me better, is that currently nothing in the spending is going towards that bathroom. It's ARPA, it's sewer,
There was some.
No, there was some general,
was some.
oh, yeah.
it's
Yeah, there
part
was
of that.
14.5.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
all right.
Yeah, no, it did have some going.
All right, but that's a predetermination as to how we spend ARPA, because what we put in the budget, that's the remainder amount.
Well, it was predetermined by another board.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, I mean, to say it was predetermined, it was actually voted on and passed
Voted on.
by another board. So it is a question
why
of
I
whether
wanted
you
to
want this
see
board
that.
to take a look at what another board did and undo that and
Or proceed,
redo it,
but
yeah.
Either
So,
way, if we're doing a bathroom. we're
in other words, there was a vote and an action,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Okay,
So let's look at snow removal. I mean, I think that we've had very mild seasons. I mean, can we take that down a little bit?
No,
No,
Why?
I'll fight you tooth and nail.
Why?
oh, yeah,
Local,
Well,
this is
line-
New York
oh, yeah.
State.
no,
Don't touch it.
don't touch it.
well, there's not even that much. It's 13,005, right? It was 39 for last year. No, you got to assign the personnel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still.
You have to factor it in.
This is just extra money at the end of the year.
Thank you. And it goes either back into the fund or the reserves. or
You bring it to
something,
reserve?
You know,
Okay.
And there's
well,
one.
whatever, you know, you make that decision.
Okay.
Yeah, road salt, I would never
No, no, no.
change. And understand, these are newer lines,
Okay.
because it used to all be in a contractual line, so they're brand new, so. And it's also us getting used to using those lines.
And it
Yeah.
also speaks, just a real brief comment. So Dorothea has the ability to move within the lines.
Mhm.
But that's only equipment and contractual expenses specific to snow removal. So if we don't catch snow, it's not like Dorothea's pushing it A, B, or C over here.
Mhm.
It's gotta go for that, or it hits our
It hits the fund.
surplus.
Okay.
Mhm.
Or
It's
fund
a surplus,
transfer.
Or I come to you and I say, you know what, and I did that this year.
Yeah, we've done that.
I did that with personnel this year. I said, you know what? The guys haven't gone out. We're short over in what was we doing? The lighting, the street lights.
It was streetlights.
So we shifted some money there because that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah. So again, you know, nothing's cast in concrete. I mean, we can amend as we go along, but I think really, I like seeing all these new lines too. It makes such a
It does
difference.
make a huge difference.
right, we got street lighting. Yeah, and from the resident perspective, you look at it, say your street lighting, 60 grand. Well, I mean, if that's what it costs, and then you move on.
But there may be an impact on our street lighting based on what happens with the climate smart.
Sure.
So
So there's, right, okay.
there's a few other moving parts.
Sidewalks, you got personnel, you got money in there, equipment rental, that's because we're doing more sidewalks. There's some repair that needs to be done, they're starting. to-
There's always.
There's always, yeah.
Are you playing catch up?
Not so much with sidewalks, but you know, sidewalks move, trees grow, there's heaves in sidewalks from freeze-stop,
Right,
as well.
Yeah, the
So
climate.
it's an ever moving thing in which we have to be prepared for by having a budget for
how much does that equipment rental cost and how many times do you do it per year?
it. About the equivalent of purchasing a sidewalk
Grinder. We had this discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think at the end of, last budget year, we were discussing this because I had the sidewalk grinder up for, purchase, and it was determined that it would be best to rent the equipment.
Okay, good enough.
Although you've already, what you've spent in rentals this past year, you could have paid for a grinder, am I correct? So that
how
is a
long does a
consideration.
grinder last?
I mean, I would put it probably a 5-year replacement.
Yeah.
How much does it cost?
$6,500.
$6,500
Put
over
that on
5
the
years. But you know, we'll put it on some list.
Yeah.
Put it on, put it on a list, because that ratio is not very good.
Right,
No,
I mean, that's
not.
favorable to buying it.
right.
Yep, that was,
Totally.
that was what we were trying to say.
Okay.
You know, now that we have a plan in place and we can see all these things,
Oh,
Oh,
It's okay.
equipment
Can't
rental
see the
under
mark.
parks, what is that, 3,500? Is that the mowing of the lawn?
What is it?
3,500.
That's because mowing with the lawn, it's a new expense. We want to make sure we're budgeting appropriately.
Specifically to the Arboretum?
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is
Oh, yeah.
Mowing,
yeah.
okay, leave it in.
That we
You
don't.
can't let it go, you can't let it go to
Eh,
trees again, so you gotta do something.
Gotta do something with it. The purchase of the equipment that we rent, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because we're only running it 3 times a year.
Right.
We don't want them.
Right.
So budgeting for the rental of it is probably gonna be best practice. in
Sure,
this
and
situation.
hopefully it'll be gone. We won't have to deal with it in 5, 10 years.
Yeah.
Could you also, anytime you see like equipment rental, just remember if there's some way you could borrow from another municipality.
Which they do all the time.
We are constantly borrowing. with them.
Try to do that as much as you can. Alright. Historians, celebrations, the costs are what the costs are.
Yeah.
All right, historical preservation.
Oh, it's a little after 5.
No.
I've got like,
Oh, is it?
I've got 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm hitting it.
Okay.
Street cleaning. We didn't have any money there before, but it was moved, okay?
It was moved, this is, again, we're trying to get more clarity in those lines.
Yeah, we're
It's
trying to
cost.
clean it up, shade trees, tree maintenance. Wow, so tree maintenance, the arborist and the tree purchase,
Mhm.
that's 23,500. We're spending like 12 here this year, but we did spend 24 grand the year before. Is there any way we could show that maybe a little less, like 15 grand in aggregate? Drop
If we
it
can
down.
get a lot of tree
Yeah, we got-
donations,
We got 5,000 that's already going to the removal of that one tree.
yeah.
That's gonna be on this year, not next year, though.
Because
No,
just to kind of talk about our trees,
Yeah.
and Zach, you can chime in too. We have trees aging out and trees that are weaker trees like Norways, and Norway maples and things like that. That are becoming compromised because now they're, they're older growth, but they're not stable. So it's catching up.
But
Tree maintenance, we don't want to lack on right, because there are a lot of trees that are in need of maintenance, so.
but tree
And that's a constant thing that you want to be prepared for. Once we're put on notice of something that's hazardous, we have to sort it out.
Required by law.
But I like your
It's a
idea,
liability.
donation, tree donation program, maybe to
Pump it up.
cut down our tree purchase.
Right, all right, well, it's in there. Basically, if we don't use it, we don't use it. It
Goes
only,
back.
it only can go to trees. And I think that's an important thing to say. I mean, just because it's here, it doesn't mean you have to spend it. And I think from what I'm looking at in terms of what was budgeted last year versus what was spent this year, there's a general consideration of that. A lot of things are under what we budgeted for. And it's not like you're going out and taking out a tree or fixing, calling an arborist just because you got the money there. I mean, you're-
Oh, no, not at all.
Right, we're being
Not at all.
thoughtful to the spending of it, so.
Not with this bunch.
I-
I'll tell you.
Okay,
Yeah,
we.
not at all.
Yeah, everything's very
It's-
well
it's
premeditated.
different, You know what I mean? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just everything's premeditated. This isn't just, willy-nilly spending because we have money.
right.
Um,
I wasn't saying that for you, I was saying.
Yeah.
It's different from
Yeah.
a corporate budget, where it's like, hey, we got the money. If we don't spend it, they're gonna cut it next year.
School budget.
And see, things like that. So, but for us, for the municipality, that's all part of the fiscal management of saying, okay, now we have some left over at the end. We were
Yeah.
responsible with how we used it. Now we can put it back in the
And
calendar. do it.
Honestly, for the last, years, we've been on such a skeletal budget.
Yeah.
Sure.
We tried to spend
Yep,
as.
Okay. one more minute.
Tell me what the loader lease is?
That's the one we talked about, that's the loader.
Oh, that's the loader.
Yeah,
The one that's on,
That's the dump
Yep.
truck.
no,
no,
that is the wheeled case front loader.
Ah,
That is the, I believe it's number 2 on the priority
Yeah.
list of
it matches back with the capital
the capital improvement plan.
improvement plan.
let me see that real quick.
And rather than purchasing it, which is about 110 grand, leasing it for 3 years is about 18
It's a
to
better
20
deal.
grand a year.
Okay, so that's what that is. That's why that's there.
Yeah.
What else?
Okay,
One more minute.
vehicle reserve, vehicle repair reserve, so it's actually vehicle reserve.
Yeah, I moved it.
So we moved it. Technology reserve, this is funding from last year. We're not funding this year. So I guess one thing to say is by doing all that capital planning work, we've decided that our 2 things we want to put the most money to is vehicles, infrastructure, more so than technology or building repair.
Mhm.
We will have to make a decision at the end of this year's fiscal budget, do we do what we said we were gonna do, right?
Right.
And so there might be some money going into those reserves for those things, which might also mean that 6 grand could potentially be used instead of ARPA for technology improvements.
Well, actually, that technology reserve we didn't establish, it's more of an infrastructure we found we covered in there, so.
It's not a separate reserve. It's covered under the
Yeah,
larger.
It
It
made.
gives us more latitude.
Sure.
I apologize, I do.
I know, thanks,
I know.
Zach, yeah.
Thank you guys.
So it looks like we almost whittled off. Not quite a point.
Really? I thought we did.
Almost.
Gotta be more than that.
Did we do more than
Yeah.
10 grand? Okay, I must have missed a couple then.
Well,
let's see when.
I'll
Put it together.
Yeah.
play with this,
Yeah.
let me sit with it, I'll take it home with me tonight. Next Thursday, tomorrow, wait, and then I'll see if I can get sheets out soon, from later from next week, if we see something. Let me know. I'd like to have pretty much everything ready to go for tentative adoption.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Wednesday, just to be tweaking it and making sure we're
Yeah.
coming into the end stretch.
I guess here's what I would say.
Are we, do we, okay,
I
we're,
just have one final.
and then we need
thought,
to
which is
adjourn.
Tentative budget, we have the three of us here. I think we have some support in how we've gone about it this year, which is great.
Mhm.
There may be some things in here that if we look at the tentative budget, we gotta get it adopted, but we may still want to tweak. What I don't think, what I'm happy about is I don't think it's gonna be any major overhaul. It might be tweaks and adjustments.
Well, I mean, there's been a number of meetings that we've had. I mean, we've really, this has been a lot of chipping
Right.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Spent a lot
I
of
make a
time.
motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
A second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe. Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.